Coming up today on Man 360.
He finally just said, Dad, you don't know me.
Wow.
And he goes, do you remember the time? And he hung up the phone. It was just done.
All that and more right here on Man 360. Welcome to Man 360. I'm your host, Brian. We begin our time today with an intimate conversation with Mark McGregor, the Vice President of Affiliate Relations for Centerpost Media. Mark opens his heart to share personal stories of family pain and the divine lessons he gleaned through these trials that transformed not only him, but his family. Mark's journey through the loss of a daughter, a son who is diagnosed with the same life-threatening medical condition, and the heartache of another son's revelation of abuse is deeply moving. His insights into surrendering to God during these trials offers wisdom and hope. Following this heartfelt conversation, we'll be treated to a music video from our very own Sean Rodriguez. Sean has been our editor for Man 360 since the beginning and is now making waves in the Nashville music scene as a signed artist. And to conclude the program, join us for another amazing travel segment on a breathtaking journey to Singapore. Yolanda and I recently visited this vibrant city on our way back from Nepal. We'll share some interesting facts about the city and show you around town, including the Gardens by the Bay, a remarkable experience you won't want to miss. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. Welcome to Man 360. Mark, thanks for being on Man 360.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Yolanda was talking to me about your story, and I know that we had more of a professional business relationship with you with Biz TV.
Right.
And she said, man, Brian, you got to have him on the program. And I just love hearing people's stories and just being able to share that with our viewers and help them with wherever they're walking through things in their life, to have one more tool in their tool belt to be able to walk and help them in their lives. So, but real quick, Mark, why don't you share about who you are and what you do?
I've been in TV, I went to CBN University in the 80s, and Pat Robertson was running for president.
Awesome. Wow.
And I've been in television ever since, and I work with Biz TV, as you mentioned, and I'm their VP of affiliations, and that's how I got to know you guys, getting Biz TV carried.
Yeah.
And through my incredibly wonderful friend Mark Greenlee, who's no longer with us, and I'll start crying if I talk about it because he's close to all of us. But that's how we're all kind of connected.
Yeah.
But, I have 3 kids. I'm happily married, and
that's awesome. Happily, that was good. You said that in case your wife's watching this in the family.
Yes.
So, Mark, just share again a little bit about these family situations that happen in your life and the impact of those, and just walking through that pain, really.
It's funny, I was talking to my wife the other day because you go through phases with life, and I've realized that she and I, especially with some of the recent storms and things that have happened, we're kind of grieving a lot of things. And so sometimes, and I know we're not alone, everybody has their stuff, everybody has their pain and their suffering that they deal with. But a lot of times we don't have time to process everything. And then we've actually had a lot of things just kind of stack up on us, and we're in this kind of stage of grief in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It helps to acknowledge that, just to be aware of it. When we were first married, we had a son, and then we had a daughter die. It's stillborn at 36 weeks, and it's completely caught off guard because it was a healthy pregnancy.
Yeah.
And then we had the next child was born with, or in utero, realized he was going to die as well, and
Wow.
he had found out that he had congenital pulmonary lymphangiectasia, which we realized is what killed his daughter. So his sister.
Yeah.
And so we never really dealt fully with that. But the part of the process of that was me realizing that I had bought into this whole idea that if I was a good Christian boy that everything
Getting
would go a
saved 200.
certain way.
When you told me, when I had you send me a bio, you said I got saved 230 times or something when you're growing up.
Well, I started accepting Jesus at 12 and did that every 2 or 3 times a week for 5 years. And then I added it up. And man, I think I accepted Jesus 250 times.
I love you put a number on that.
Yeah.
So that's your reference of,
It is. I thought I need to do something to get God's love.
Wow.
And I felt like when we were pregnant with my daughter, I obviously thought everything was going swimmingly. And then she died, and the Lord just kind of sat me down one night and said, Mark, I am who I am. You can't manipulate who I am. You can't put me in this box. I'm not going to fit. Either you take me the way I am. And I said, if I did anything right in my whole life, at that moment I said, okay, Lord, I'll take you for who you are, not who I want you to be.
Yeah.
And which... I'm giving God permission to be God, and
he's like, "Thank you."
He's like, "Really, I really had the."
He curtsies and says,
I
"Thank you,
know."
Mark.
He's like, "Oh, gee, Mark, I was just waiting on you to let me be God." But the course of that has been, watching life happen and realizing, man, it doesn't always happen the way we think it's going to, and the pain from life can be pretty overwhelming sometimes.
And you said too, your son was born with the same condition as your daughter that passed away, and then I think you told me as well that has been told like within 9 months he's going to die. He lived past that.
Yeah. What happened? He was in the pregnancy was exactly a year to the day with my daughter in utero, and she died at 36 weeks, and my wife went in for her well check with my son, and she was 36 weeks, and the doctor didn't do a sonogram, said everything's fine, you can go home. And she said, my daughter died the same point in pregnancy. And so he did a sonogram, and he turned white, and he said, we have to take the baby now. And he would have died, and she would have died. It would have been horrible.
Yeah.
And so, but for 9 months, they told us, every time we went in to have a checkup, they'd say, no, he's going to die.
Yeah.
He's not going to live.
Yeah.
He's the only one that we knew of at the time that had survived congenital pulmonary lymphangitis. That kills every baby that ever had it.
Wow.
They may say now it's 95%. Yeah. Give 5. Anyway, but so it was just a lot of a year of hearing your kid's going to die on top of the one that just died,
hanging over you. And then he's fine. Yeah. He grows up, and then recently shared about.
Not him, my other son. Told us, this is about 3 years ago, dropped the bomb on us that he had been a victim of sexual abuse by a close relative. Who is now consequently he's not with us anymore.
Yeah.
He died, the perpetrator. But my son really, tremendously rocked our world with that, and we weren't prepared, and I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody is. Nobody ever thinks, oh, this might happen to me, so I'm going to prepare for this. Yeah. It just happens, and you're caught completely off guard. And I did a lot of things wrong in how I handled it. Yeah. And that's kind of the reason I like to talk about it, because it's any dad that's in this situation. There's you can't fix it. You want to so badly.
As guys, we want to fix everything. We want to be nice, tidied up.
Want to make the pain go away, but you can make it worse.
So share a little bit about the revelations or some of the things that you feel like God showed you through that for you and your responsibility in that relationship with your son. What did God share with you through that? Through
the course of this, we were forced because of the scenario where the perpetrator was possibly dying. We didn't know, but we had to confront him in a way that was a little premature for what you normally would do in one of these scenarios. You always hear, okay, we should wait till the victim has gotten counseling and they're strong enough to go and do the confrontation. We didn't have that. We didn't have that privilege because we were on a timeline. Yeah. And in doing that and pushing this scenario, it kind of my son started to resent me, and it was understandable. This kind of thing happens with with victims, they need somebody to kind of focus the pain on.
Wow.
And that's what happened. He and I ended up with this very antagonistic relationship where he was just angry at me, and I thought I was doing everything right and just wanted him to understand, just, if you just, see it my way, you'll be able to, you'll be able to start healing, and everything will start getting better. And he, at one point, he finally just said, "Dad, you don't know me."
Wow.
And he goes, "Do you remember the time when I was a kid and you gave my brother this really cool motorcycle, and you gave my sister this really cool dollhouse, and she loved that, and you gave me a canoe." He goes, "We don't live on the water. I never used it. I didn't want a canoe. You gave me. You don't even know me. I'm just done. I've had it with you." Yeah. And he hung up the phone. It was just done. And at that point, our relationship was so tenuous, and it was so much pain there. And he really hated me. But and I went home from this conversation, and the next morning I was texting him, trying to think build some kind of bridge to him. And I started texting him. I said, "Listen, I'm not gonna apologize to you for giving you a canoe for Christmas. I went to the dump, and this guy's throwing this canoe away, and asked him if I could have it, and I took it home, and I renovated this canoe, and I fixed it up.
Put your time into it, and your heart into it.
I was this great dad doing this for you, and I'm proud of the canoe that I gave you. I'm proud of that. But what I will apologize to you for, what I've realized is, I raised you in a family, in a home where you weren't free to tell me you didn't like it.
Wow.
You weren't free to be yourself. If you had done that, I would have melted down about what an entitled little spoiled brat you were. It would have been incredible. It would all been about
what kids
me.
in third world countries
don't get?
Yeah.
I was, look at me for being this great dad. You don't appreciate me. It was all about me.
Yeah.
And I realized he wasn't free to do that. And not just with that, he wasn't free to do that in his life at all. And he still wasn't free to do that.
Yeah.
And all he'd ever been asking me for, since he had told us about the abuse, was, "I just want you to journey with me in it, not try to fix me.
Yeah.
Listen to me, understand that this is painful, and you don't have the answer to that. Just let me be me with this."
Well, and maybe what you're saying there too, and I was going to ask you this kind of to wrap this up today, is if you were speaking to your younger self and you were going to say, kind of encapsulate this, and you were going to speak to your younger self and maybe tell or share that with our viewers, to say, "This is what I want you to know." And some of that you have to know it just to go through it. I was talking about my eye situation, you were talking about this. Like, you can't really know it until you go through it in that way. But if there's anything that you could share with your younger self, what would that be right now?
Well, the thing is, as soon as I texted him, within an hour, he called me back. He called me, and he never calls me. He called me, and he goes, "Dad, we're making progress. I wanted to call you before you changed." He was so worried I'd change back. He was like, he's starting
is this
to
the new dad, or is this going to be
he's starting to get it. He's seeing what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And it's just everything changed after that between him and me.
Yeah.
And what I would encourage people to try to understand is, if they're presented in a scenario like that, where your child comes to you and they say, "This has happened to me."
Yeah.
Understand, your knee-jerk reaction is you want to try to make the pain go away. You want to fix it. You want to help them not feel it. They're going to have to feel the pain. You cannot take it away.
Yeah.
You can make it worse. You can make it worse by the things you say and trying to fix them and trying to make them fix it on your time, not theirs.
Yeah.
And I just encourage people to treat an emotional wound like that, like you would a kid that came to you and they're bleeding because they just fell off their bike.
Yeah.
You wouldn't immediately start lecturing them about how they need to learn how to ride a bike better. You would you would hug them and clean them up and let them feel that, understand that it hurts and it's real. And understanding that emotional pain is very real, but that we have to let people experience. Jesus bled in sweated blood in the garden feeling the emotions that he was feeling.
Yeah.
And we need to feel and process the emotion, and to try to hamper that by, I'm going to stop you by making you do this.
Right.
It causes more pain than it makes it worse.
Yeah, I think that giving that space, I think again as men, especially it seems like men do it to a son, where you let them know that you're there and then you give them that space, but then you're not trying to go in and try to fix it, and it's kind of like that when you try to paint something or do something that looks good, and then you just keep going in and trying to fix and fix and fix and fix, and it ends up being a mess.
Right.
But I just appreciate, again, Mark, you sharing your heart and about your family, and I just really feel like too that God's going to continue to do that in you, and also for our viewers to hear that. I think is really important to know that they're not the only ones in their boat, dealing with, no pun intended, their canoe, to be able to help walk through those things. So, but thank you, Mark.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's cathartic to talk about it.
For
believe
sure.
me, and that's something men don't want to do.
It's true.
But it is good.
Yeah, it's good.
And I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
You.
Thanks for being on the program.
Thank you.
Brian Morris has been presenting the gospel in exciting and creative ways for over 25 years. Host of Man 360 and the author of Holy Crap, Finding God's Presence in Your Pain, Brian's mission is to help men find the joy of God even in the heaviest of life's circumstances. You can have Brian Morris speak at your next men's event by contacting us at man360.tv/contact. We look forward to seeing you soon.
When life takes a turn you never could have planned, you're broken like no one can understand. You can't wish it all away. You see no end to all this pain, and life's never gonna be the same again. Even now, God is in it still. When you can't battle, Jesus will. There's no life that he can't use. There's no loss he can't shine through. When you can't carry the weight of all you feel, Jesus will. You felt hurt you never thought you could know. Now you got stories you never thought you would have told. But he is near the brokenhearted. He will finish what he promised. When there's chaos all around, he's in control. Oh, even now, God is in it still. When you can't battle, Jesus will. There's no life that he can't use. There's no loss he can't shine through. When you can't carry the weight of all you feel, Jesus will. He will. Jesus will. Yeah. You can't go back. You don't know how to move on. But you're still here and he's still God. The story isn't done. You will bend and you will break, but you will rise in Jesus' name. 'Cause right here, right now, he is working all things out. Even now, God is in it still. When you can't fight the fight you're in, Jesus will. And there's no life that he can't use. There's no loss he can't shine
Have you ever faced a time so painful that it tested every part of you? I nearly lost my eye to a disease doctors couldn't diagnose, draining my wife and I financially, emotionally, physically, and even spiritually. But it was also a time of awakening, a moment where I realized that even when I didn't want to hold on to God, He was still holding on to me. My story, Holy Crap, Finding God's Presence in Your Pain, is more than just a book. It's a journey through one of the most difficult periods in my life. This book is not only the story of what I walked through, but also some of the most profound lessons I learned. I want my journey to encourage you in your struggles and help bring hope in your situation. Life can test who we are and what we believe, but there is growth in the challenge. HolyCrapBook.com is your resource for continuing the conversation beyond the pages and provides information on how you can order your copy. Join me in discovering the holy moments in the most unexpected places. Your journey to healing and understanding can start today. Welcome to Singapore, a vibrant sunny island in Southeast Asia, just off the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula. As one of the world's 3 city-states, alongside Monaco and Vatican City, Singapore sits about 85 miles north of the equator. It comprises the diamond-shaped main island and around 60 smaller islets. Singapore boasts the largest port in Southeast Asia and is one of the busiest globally. Our visit to Singapore included the renowned Gardens by the Bay, featuring Bay South, Bay East, and Bay Central. We spent most of our time at Bay South, enjoying the treetop walk on a suspended bridge connected by super trees with breathtaking views of the city and the iconic Marina Bay Sands Hotel resembling a boat floating in the sky. Bay South also houses 2 spectacular glass domes, the Flower Dome and the Cloud Forest Dome. The Flower Dome holds the Guinness World Record as the largest enclosed glass greenhouse, featuring special glass to optimize lighting and retractable sails for shade. Inside the Flower Dome is the amazing art exhibit Impressions of Monet that even includes a digital immersive experience. Projector walls are positioned inside the Monet exhibit that play an experience showing the progression of the Impressionist movement set to a classical music soundtrack. There was also a fragrance element with a specially developed scent diffused through the gallery. The Cloud Forest Dome astounds with one of the tallest indoor waterfalls and an indoor mountain covered with plants from around the world. Its aerial walkways provide close encounters with exotic species that weave in and throughout the entire complex. We also took a day and visited Universal Studios Singapore, where Yolanda snapped a photo with a life-sized Hello Kitty. Our journey concluded at Singapore's Changi Airport, renowned for its attractions like the Butterfly Garden, a free movie theater, and this 7-story indoor vortex waterfall. The Jewel Complex, with its shops, boutiques, and restaurants, offers endless exploration. I will have to say this is one of the most amazing and unusual airports we have ever been to. And not to be missed in the airport was a giant 50-foot tall LED screen called the Wonderfall and imitates a gigantic waterfall in Terminal 2. This is definitely worth the walk from wherever you are in the airport and is unlike anything you will ever see. If you find yourself in this part of the world, we highly recommend spending time in Singapore and scheduling a couple of days to explore Changi Airport for unforgettable experiences and family-friendly activities. Let's do our 360-degree review of today's program. I truly hope you found my conversation with Mark McGregor as enriching as I did. Mark shared profound insights, like the importance of accepting God for who He is and not for who we wish Him to be. Reflect on Mark's canoe story, which highlighted the need to create a home where our kids feel safe expressing their emotions. And his wisdom about treating emotional pain with the same care as a physical injury truly gives us something to ponder. If you're facing similar challenges as Mark, remember you can reach out to us at man360.tv. Just hit the connect button and let us know how we can join you in prayer. Mark's journey is genuine proof of transformation through faith. Keep an eye on Sean Rodriguez, an emerging musical talent taking the nation by storm. I've known Sean for a while now, and with his heart for God combined with his work ethic and passion for excellence, Sean is on a path to be very well known one day in the music industry. And finally, our trip to Singapore was a delight. From the captivating gardens by the bay and the immersive art experience inside the complex to the treetop walk above the garden area, the city's charm is unforgettable. For more about exploring Singapore or connecting with Sean's music, visit man360.tv and click on the additional content page. Man360 exists to help men be complete in every way through Christ, mentally, physically, and spiritually. We invite you to reach out to us on our website, Facebook, or Instagram, and we'll see you next week, right here on Man360. Let's do our 360-degree review of today's program. I truly hope you found my conversation with Mark McGregor as enriching. I truly hope you found my conversation with Mark McGregor as This is my happy face.
5, 4.
Let the spotlight show everywhere I go. Let the way I live, let the whole world know you're center stage. So let your spotlight show everywhere I go. Let the way I live, let the whole world know you're center stage. Take center stage. 'Cause it's showtime all the time. Come and take your place. Jesus, make your way to center stage. Lord, make your way. Take center stage.
Everything that we do becomes a living testimony to the goodness of God. Your life, the things that you've been through, the trials that you faced, the battles that you fought are not forever, but your testimony, that is forever. And your testimony will be living proof of something that God can do, not because of what you've done, but because of what God has done through you.